Dr. Periyaswamy.
Sir, we are live now.
Belong to which faculty?
Let me have the pleasure of welcoming all of you for this program of the Palakkad Tamil Araichi Mayam along with VGM Foundation. So this is a monthly program and we had a very good start and it has taken off so well. We have such lovely eminent personalities with us today. Dr. Meikandan from Madurai, famous neurologist, senior, and Dr. Professor Balram Vishwakumar, also a famous neurologist from Chennai, Mr. Periyaswamy, Mr. Kurinji Vendan Rajagopalan, they're all here with us. And we have the hero of the day, Vanavil Ravi, and my colleague and esteemed professor of Tamil, Professor Rajaram from Palakkad is also here. And this topic today is going to be on Bedrock of Democracy. So because of this, we're going to go in English, and many of my friends across the country and probably some abroad also, are going to watch this on YouTube. They were all really excited when they heard the topic's name and the person who's going to present, because we're going to have a celebrity. Let me quickly share the screen to say a few words. This is my great-grandfather, Bharatla Adinarayan Chettiar, who was a freedom fighter with Mahatma Gandhi, along with his friends. Is an ancient photograph. He was a friend of Chakravarti Rajagopalachari and also a very great friend of Ramanujan. He was in Dublin, Ireland between 1910 and 12 in the World War I time. He took his wife and son, went by ship, and then got his Bharatla from there, put my grandfather in, right from 9th standard in Dublin. He finished his engineering and he was working as a professor in Guindy Engineering College later on. There are quite a few photographs. I didn't have time to pick up and put it here, but he just, once Bharatla Adinarayan Chetty came back, even though he was registered in High Court, Chennai, he didn't practice. So he joined the freedom struggle the moment Mahatma Gandhi stepped into this country, and died 7 years before independence. So otherwise, he was an MLC in Rajaji's ministry, in the pre-independence ministry, and such a great stalwart figure. And Ramanujan was received by him in Chennai station, and he was treated in his house for a month before he left to Kumbakonam. So this is all history. So probably because of that, I have an opportunity to introduce a celebrity today, Vanavil Ravi sir. So even though I'm just going to give only 1 minute of your time, I'm going to take with Ravi sir. And I think today Rajaram sir is going to have a problem introducing Ravi sir. It's really a major problem for him. Is he going to introduce him as the newsreader, famous newsreader Shobana Ravi's husband? Is he going to introduce him as a very leading, famous advocate of High Court who has done phenomenal work in the field of law, published books? Is he going to introduce him as a voracious reader, as a lover of Tamil, as a lover of Bharati? Is he going to introduce him as a nature lover? Because, you see all these photographs, they speak for themselves. See, he just loves nature. See him melting in this picture. Or is he going to introduce him as a, prolific speaker? Or is he going to introduce him as a musician, singer, dancer? It's a multilingual personality. You can sing in Spanish, you can sing in German, you can speak in English and in Tamil. So I don't know. I think Rajaram sir today is in trouble because originally I was supposed to introduce Ravi sir. I escaped. Now Rajaram sir is in trouble. So over to Professor Rajaram for introducing Professor Ravi. I'm not responsible. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes. Very well, sir.
Respected Mr. Vanavil Ravi, Dr. Mohan Prasad, Dr. Meikandan, famous neurologist from Madurai, Dr. Balram Vishwakumar, leading neurologist, Chennai, and Dr. Periyaswamy, and all other eminent personalities who have joined virtually to this program, a sensational program, the Bedrock of Democracy. As Dr. Mohan Prasad's speech was somewhat a preamble to my introductory address. He has spoken all which I have to tell. Dr. Mohan Prasad is a dedicated person. He is a dedicated doctor, a humanist, a large order personality, a very good administrator, a humorist, and a Tamil poet. This forum was established 3 months back, inaugurated by the respected Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu MGR Medical University, Dr. Sudha Sheshayyan. Vanavil Ravi, Rainbow Ravi, is a good friend of mine. He is a lover of Bharati. His breakfast is Bharati, his drink is Bharati, and he dreams of Bharati. Always Bharati, Bharati, Bharati. Dr. Balram Biswakumar is an ardent devotee of Mahaprabhu, always think of Mahaprabhu. Here, Mr. Ravi always thinks of Bharati, Mahaprabhu, Subramanya Bharati. Recently, he had been to Jaipur to attend a conference, an international conference. The speciality is, rather, he delivered the inaugural address and also the valedictory address. And he is a bilingual poet, both in English and Tamil. He speaks fluently, both in English and Tamil, about more than half a dozen, more than 10 books in Tamil, 2 to 3 books in English. English, yes, Spark a Petal, a collection of good verses. The other one is Song of Silence, recently published. A very good command of the language. And a leading advocate. He goes to Supreme Court very often. He was an actor, music composer, choreographer, son of the great Kalyana Raman, who introduced Saroja Devi to cine field. Kalyana Raman Ravi. Recently, that about 3 to 4 months back, he is responsible for installing the photograph of Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati in Parliament. A very rare venture. And another program was organized, presided over by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. Another program was organized, presided over by Honorable Minister, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. So he is a multifaceted personality. We are really very happy to have you in our midst. Yesterday he spoke in one forum in Tamil on Bharati. Last week he spoke in Jaipur. Today he is with us. The topic is sensational, as Dr. Mohan Prasad put it in the invitation card, the bedrock of democracy. Bedrock, constitution is the bedrock of democracy. When I was studying law, my lecturer on constitutional law was Mr. N. Arunachalam, MAML, who was living in Lloyd's Road, old Lloyd's Road, today Avai Shanmugam Shalai. He was living next to the great R.M. Sheshadri, whom Ravi knows personally well. In fact, one of his books on law, that is Law, Logic and Liberty, a nice collection of essays on constitutional law, were dedicated to Mr. R.M. Sheshadri, ICS, the great man. And the foreword to that book, Law, Logic and Liberty, was given by Mr. Justice M. Srinivasan, Judge, Supreme Court of India, critical essays on the constitutional law of India. A wonderful book. Another law book, Justice versus National Justice. Justice Forward was given by Mr. Justice Bhaktavasalam. There are 12 chapters. In that, by a state action is a violation of Article 14. Union of India and others versus Tulsi Ram Patel, AR 1955, Supreme Court 1416. A violation of a principle of natural justice by a state action is a violation of Article 14. Another maxim, no prejudice. The judgment is all judgment. No prejudice need be proved for enforcing the fundamental rights. Violation of a fundamental right itself renders the impugnant action void. So also the violation of the principle of natural justice renders the act of nullity. Violation of a fundamental right itself renders the impugnant action void. So also the violation of the principles of natural justice renders the act a nullity. Case A.R. Antalai versus R.S. Nayak, A.R. 1988, C. 1531. So two law books, Law, Logic and Liberty and Justice versus Natural Justice. Moreover, for one of his poetical works in Tamil, Unnodu Nan, and that the appreciation was given by Aruchelvar Mahalingam, and then one of his books got the appreciation from late Justice Mr. V.R. Krishnaiyer, who was given the Bharati Award by the Vanavi Cultural Center some time back. I was present for the function. Justice V.R. Krishnaiyer. Now, the bilingual poet has written two books, two collection of poetry verses. One is A Spark a Petal, the other one is Song of Silence. Mr. Ravi is always a person who encourages truth. Unmai evervalikum vaayamaye vellum. Valdur solrar. Vaayam enappaduvar yaadhanum yaadondrum theemiyilada seyal. Ella vilakkam vilakkala saandorukku poyya vilakke vilakku. The truth. He opens that is A Spark a Petal, recently released book. That function was attended by and participated by, presided over by Vani Jayaram and Usha Uttu. The truth, naked truth, that alone will win. No adulteration of truth, naked truth. That alone will win. That alone should win. That alone will win. Then he stresses that alone should win. The truth, naked truth, not embellished with ornaments, not even clad, enflagged, the truth, naked truth, that alone will win. See, all through his works, whether it is Tamil or English, he has stressed the importance of truth. He stands for justice. He stands for truth. With nothing more or nothing less, truth flows like a river. Truth flows like a river. A silent tune emanates from it. The river, there is a silent tune that makes the world shiver. That truth, naked truth, that alone will shine. Battles lost, it does not shrink. Its victory has no victims. In me, in you, everywhere it is. Just have a glimpse. That truth, naked truth, that alone will begin. This is the basis or the theme of his Tamil poetical works. Anayada Sodretriven. Then also Makkal Padum Paattu. He has categorically stated the importance of truth and also the flaws which are committing or which are going to commit and not Sodretriven. The other one is Makkal Padum Paattu. A Spark a Petal is a collection of poetical verses. The title of the book is Self Spark a Petal. In that, he says, I read out. A Spark a Petal, verse number 15. A spark, a petal, a teardrop. That is how a poem should be. There is a Tamil scholar by name Professor A.S. Gnanasambandam. He has written a book in Tamil titled Ilakya Kalai. In that he says, Kundusiyam Kumarimuniyam. Kundusiya Patriyam Kavadi Edalam, Kumarimuniyam Patriyam Kavadi Edalam. Adhe mani a spark, a petal, a teardrop. Anything can be a theme, anything can be a content for a good poetry, he says like that. A thunder, a tempest, a cataract. Cataract is not the actual eye cataract. Neervichi, waterfall. A thunder, a tempest, a cataract. Anything can be said in a poetry, a spark, a petal, a teardrop, that is how a poem should be, as would enlighten the mind, affording a glimpse into its original glory. You should enlighten your mind, and two poetical books which should not Song of Silence and a Spark, a Petal. The other one, Tamil, Makkal Paadum Paattu. He has stated what is going on in the world. He is out and out a humanist. Yadamore, Yavarinkalar, every clime my own, everyone my kin. That is a verse by Kaniyan Bongondran Purnara. He wrote only one poetry. That is Yadamore, Yavarinkalar. Purnanur. Only one. Kaniyan Bongondran. He's an astrologer by profession. Kaniyan means astrologer. So the basis of Ravi's poetry, whether Tamil or English, is humanism, self-development of your mind. He is a person who is noble. We will call a spade, and he won't hesitate to say what is going on in the world. So he follows the footsteps. He trusts on the footsteps of Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati. So he got a title. 2 years back, there was a seminar held in the University of Madras where a title was given to this Honorable Ravi. He is a Vanambadi Ravi. Ravi Bharati. We all gave him the title Ravi Bharati. And recently, some 2 months back, in Kerala, Tirur, where the Malayalam University is situated, he was given an award, Bharati Vallathol Award. In Malayalam literature, there is one poet, Vallathol Narayana Menon. Vallathol Narayana Menon and also Bharati both sing of, the theme of their poetical works is nationalism. Both sing of Krishna, Lord Krishna. So he was given that award. It is called Mahakavi Bharati Vallathol Award. So, even though he is a practicing lawyer, a busy lawyer, he finds time to devote some of his time, his glorious, precious time for the development of Tamil literature and culture. He has got 2 eyes. One is Tamil, the other one is law. There was a Vice Chancellor by him, Dr. V.C. Kolandasamy, who was a Vice Chancellor for three universities. His pen name is Kulothungan. So I used to say, you have got 2 eyes. One is science, hydraulics, the other is Tamil. So, regarding the Tamil poetical, the first poetical work in Tamil is Namakku Tholil Kavidai, written by himself and his beloved wife Shobana Ravi. A very good newsreader of some years back. Then another book, the Namakku Tholil Kavidai, was dedicated to Bharati Swaraj, his mentor. There was a Bharati Swaraj who passed away 4 to 5 years back. He has formed the Bharati Kalai in Saidapet, Chennai. The other one, a critical works, Minnal Chuvai, a critical essays on Mahakavi Bharati, Minnal Chuvai. A foreword was given by the great Isai Arasi, Kavi Arasi, Soundaram Kailasam, wife of Supreme Court Judge P.S. Kailasam. Then another one, Onnodanan, reads like Gitanjali, Tagore's Gitanjali. Recently, yesterday, a resolution was passed by a Tiruvalluvar forum in Chennai that Ravis should be given the Jnanapidam Award and also the Nobel Prize. Because this Unnodanan reads like Gitanjali. His father, Mr. Kalyan Raman, named his child as Ravi because this Ravi should become by Rabindranath Tagore later on. Anayada Surretivin is a very good collection of Tamil verses. Anayada Surretivin. He always holds the lamp which is burning continuously. Anayada Sudar Etrivin. The Constitution of India, a complete code in itself. So we are not going to prolong my talk. My introduction is getting to an end, and I really thank the office bearers of VGM Foundation and the Palakkad Tamil Cultural Center for giving me the opportunity to speak here a few lines on Ravi. And one more information I have to tell here is that about 83 seminars were conducted on Ravi's works. 83 seminars. We are going to 84. There is one seminar which most of the seminars are being conducted virtually because of the COVID pandemic. Before the pandemic, seminars were conducted physically, and one physical seminar is going to be conducted very soon on 3rd of March in Krishna College, Coimbatore, and where respected Dr. Mohan Prasad is going to inaugurate, light the lamp, and like that. This particular today is the third lecture. The first lecture was given by this VGM Foundation, Palakkad Tamil Culture. The first lecture was given by Dr. G. Lashmipati, a leading practitioner, general physician in Coimbatore, who is a very good humorist. He has penned few humorous books. He is now in US. The second lecture was given by Kavidasa. The third one is by Honorable K. Ravi. So I request Honorable Ravi to take over.
Sir, before
that, I will pass on. I just thank you once again. I will conclude by saying, Engal Valvam, Engal Tamilum, Mangada Tamil, and Sangaya Muran. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Professor Rajaram sir, for that beautiful introduction of Ravi sir. If you introduce him, I don't think 1 hour is enough. So probably several hours will be required. So I knew this challenge. So that's why I passed on this job to you. You did a fantastic job. So, and the next month, please reserve your time and date. It's 20th Sunday, again the same time, 10:30 a.m. We're going to have crime novelist Rajesh Kumar, who's a phenomenal personality, a great humanist, and a great friend of mine for 34 years. And he's going to speak on a community-oriented subject. And then subsequent month, April, we have yet another celebrity, retired Deputy Director National of Doordarshan, Sri Sabarinathan, who is going to share all social thoughts and his experiences meeting all celebrities, including Abdul Kalam. So that will be for the April month. So with this, let us invite our guest speaker today, Honorable K. Ravi sir, to deliver his talk. So thank you.
தெளிவுறவே அறிந்திடுதல் தெளிவுதர மொழிந்திடுதல் சிந்திப்பார்க்கே களிவளர உள்ளத்தில் ஆனந்த கனவு பல காட்டல் கண்ணீர் துளி வர உள்ளுருக்குதல் இங்கிவையெல்லாம் நீ அருளும் தொழில்களொன்று ஒளி வளரும் தமிழ்வாணி ஒளி வளரும் தமிழ்வாணி அடியநேர்க்கு இவை அனைத்தும் உதவுவாயே வணக்கம். My dear brothers, Dr. V.G. Mohan Prasad, Professor Rajaram, Dr. Vamsi Murthy, and of course, all my dear sisters and brothers who have joined this virtual meet conference to deliberate about the salient features of the democracy in India. Especially, I'm able to see Dr. Kurinji Vendan here, who is from the Tamil University. Then the renowned Dr. Balaram Vishwakumar, Dr. Mekandar, Dr. Periyaswamy, and of course, I'm surprised and I'm really happy to receive also Mr. Rajiv Sinha, who has joined us, I think, from Delhi. He was originally an officer in MMTC, Mines and Metals Corporation of India, which was my client. And he had instructed me in several cases as a client. And after retirement, I think he has settled down in the north and somewhere in Delhi. I'm happy to see him and all others, of course. Well, the special feature, the bedrock of democracy, that often it is said, as Dr. Rajaram mentioned, our constitution is the bedrock. Before I proceed, I would like to have your opinion, sir, on two things. One is about the duration of my speech. It can be very free. I'm an event manager, so I know the difficulties. So it can be 30, 40, 45 minutes, whatever you say. I'll stick to that.
Sir, this is not a Rotary forum. In Rotary, you know what happened? There was a speaker who went to a Rotary club and he was new to Rotary. So he asked the president of the club before he started, Mr. President, how long should I speak? Oh, the president said, sir, you can take your own time, sir. Absolutely no problem. But one rider is, we'll all be gone in 20 minutes. Here, number one, it's a virtual platform. Nobody can escape. And if they are getting bored, they always, mute it or put off the video and sleep. But I'm sure if with your fiery speech on democracy, I don't think anybody ever will dare do that. Sir, time is at your disposal. We are all here with you, and hundreds of viewers on YouTube are watching you. So you can take your own time, sir.
My second question is, which language you would prefer me to speak?
Sir, today we promoted it as an English speech. Fine. But even though some of the celebrities like Rajiv Sinha sir are here from Delhi. So for that reason, I think we should take it in English. Maybe you can bring in some Manipravalam in the way of Tamil also. Maybe a little bit here and there. But majority, the major language spoken should be English, I think.
Thank you, sir, for the clarification.
Because even some of my gastroenterology colleagues across the country are seeing, some of the professors of gastroenterology are here today. So they all wanted to join. They asked, what is the language of communication? I told this is going to be in English, so they're all here. So majorly you should use English, but you can use Tamil in between, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. I'm equally comfortable in both languages and equally poor in both languages. Let me see what I can do.
These are not the two languages, sir, even Spanish, German, and French and whatnot.
Now, the very title, Bedrock of Democracy, is a little tricky. See, not tricky, I would say. When we say that Constitution is the fundamental or the foundation of our democracy, and therefore call it Bedrock of Democracy, we can immediately know that we don't rest on a very soft bed. It's a rocky bed. Therefore, we must be prepared for that. In any democratic setup, there will be trials, and we have to go through trials and tribulations. That is signified by the very title, Bedrock of Democracy. It's not bed of roses. Now, the special feature of our democracy, let us look at it from an historical perspective, what democracy is. Democracy is not something, it's not a newborn child. Democracy was there even 2000 years ago. We read in the books of history about the Greek city-states, the Roman experiment. But all these democracies, the earlier forms of democracy, had one thing in common. They were all hero-oriented, leadership-oriented democracy. Only leaders were accepted. Those who were valiant warriors, they were celebrated. They were at the helm of the affairs. So leader-oriented and hero-oriented democracies. So they were, I would call, if I may be permitted to do so, they were all semi-democracies or the earlier form of democracy. But this but is very important. Even I would say the British experiment with democracy is they retained the taints of monarchy. So there is still a monarch continuing to rule Britain, though it is clothed in the democratic fabric. But in India, something different happened, sir. You know, this India, a subcontinent, a huge country with a huge population. For the first time, it started its experiment with democracy. And the spirit behind that, if I may say so, emanated from none less than the great Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati. He gave us the Maha Mantra of our politics, which no one had said before him. Now, in retrospect, it may appear to be a very simple sentence, a simple statement. But that statement, when he made, was of the greatest significance, I would say. That one Maha Mantra of politics is, Yellarum Innattu Mannaru. This is the Veda of politics in India. This we must remember. Still, we are yet to come to grips with this. People, you just go and ask people, not only in the rural parts of this country, but also the urban people, the educated people, they will say, so our leaders, our political leaders, in these terms, they will be talking. As if there are leaders, they are being led. This is anti-democratic. It is not so. That is the spirit behind the term, the very significant statement, Yellarum Innattu Mannar. Everyone, is the king in this country. This is the first significant statement in politics that was made by Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati, an awakening that the people are the real rulers. They are the real masters. And those who are at the helm of the affairs, whom we call rulers, leaders, so on and so forth, they are only delegates of the people. We have delegated our power to them, entrusted power to them, and they are acting as our servants. Forgetting that, we are emulating them as leaders. We are praising them and bestowing encomiums on them. But this awakening is yet to blossom in full-fledged manner. Only then we will reap the fruits of real democracy. Now, after making this Mahamantra, Ellarum Innattu Mannar, one more significant statement Mahakavi Bharati says. Ellarum or vilai, Ellarum or nirai. See, look at this. Qualitative and quantitative equality, sir. Qualitative and quantitative. For example, if you know, can you equate 1 kilogram of gold with 1 kilogram of coal? Maybe quantitatively they are equal. Qualitatively, why gold and coal? Take tomatoes, Ooty tomato and country tomatoes. This has a different price, this has a different price. No, Bharati said, among our people, everyone has the same price. Everyone is equal, quantitatively and qualitatively. We must try to go deeper into that and understand the significance of that statement. Only then we will know the spirit behind it. Now, the next aspect is the delegation. I spoke about how people delegate their powers to certain persons and nominate them in certain posts so that they can rule themselves through them. How can all the 35 crores of people, it was then 35 crores when we attained independence in 1947, the census reads 35 crores was the population. How can all the 35 crores of people rule themselves? How can everybody assert individually his or her right to issue orders, fiat, and exercise sovereign powers? It would result in chaos in pell-mell. Therefore, a need arose for a collective choice being exercised to delegate powers. The broad delegation is found in the Constitution. The specific delegation is made periodically through the machinery of elections. Still, the supreme power rests in the people. That is why, time and again, people have asked for the right to recall. It's a very popular phrase. Even Dr. M.G. Ramachandran, before becoming the chief minister and when he went away from his former party, he insisted upon the right to recall. Then it died. Because certain things are voiced when we are in opposition, but when we come to the ruling party, it automatically we give away all those things. So the right to recall. Now, in some countries, in some constitutions, the right to recall is there. But it's very difficult in India to implement that because of the huge area and the huge population that we have. It's very difficult for us to get, now and then people come together and exercise their choice. So right to recall periodically is embedded in our constitution election machinery itself. Once in 5 years at least. It may happen even earlier as it has happened sometimes. But at least once in 5 years, you have the right to recall your government. The most powerful government Indira Gandhi was heading. It was recalled. After the emergency was withdrawn and an election was announced, it was recalled. Then once again, she came back to power. That's a different thing. So people have the power to make and unmake a government. But that is restricted by a time limit. The question arises, if within the 5-year period, if the party in power unleashes atrocities, then why should people tolerate that? Should they not have power to do something? This question itself is based on two misconceptions. The first one is, this question arises only because, in most of the cases, due to power-hungry politicians. power-hungry politicians who are anxious to capture power somehow or other at the earliest opportunity. They want things to happen before they get older. They are short-sighted. But they forget about how the country is gradually evolving and consistently progressing. That cannot be denied. One undeniable fact, sir, which I can place before this august body is, I'm now 68 or 69, if I may say so. In these 6 decades, I've been able to see progress, and nothing but progress. That is a positive attitude. I'll tell you, some 30, 40 years ago, had you been to a movie in the newsreel, I don't know whether now they show newsreel and all, in the newsreel, the first thing that will come is Bihar Vellam, flood in Bihar. Then Orissa will Panjam, that's a famine in Orissa. And they will show all dead bodies, skeletons. This is the newsreel that we were seeing. Death due to starvation was there, rampant. Please ask yourself, sir, do we have death due to starvation now? Is it not a progress? Is it not an improvement? 25 years ago, when someone wants to do what we call annadanam, that is distributing food among the poor, there will be a lot of great gate crash. People will be thronging to come and take food. And you will find it difficult to control the crowd and distribute food. Now the scenario has changed. If with food in hands, you have to call for people, wait for them to come and take the food. Is it not happening now? Please touch your conscience and heart and say, is this not progress? Therefore, and another example, sir, I'll give. 27 years ago, I built this house from where I'm now speaking. And at that time, this was the only house in this colony. From the nearby, somewhat like a slum area, the people used to, I used to see ladies walking to the corner for their easing themselves because they did not have washrooms in their houses. This was 25 years ago. Now, every one of them has an independent house with a washroom, with a TV, fridge, everything. I'm seeing this practically, how they have evolved into some sort of comfort zone from the abject poverty and penury they were in. Therefore, all these examples would go to show that there is a gradual evolution and a progress towards prosperity consistently happening in this country. So please remember, in 1953-54, a Tamil movie was released, which was a blockbuster, Malai Kallan. MGR hero. That was a blockbuster, Malai Kallan. In that, Tanjai Ramayya Das wrote a poem which was sung by MGR. It became very popular. Please remember the date was 1953-54. We had attained freedom just 3-4 years ago and we had become republic in the year 1950. The song was Yettanai Kalamdan Yematruvar Inda Nattile Sonda Nattile. Good song. But how we are very too over anxious, sir. Within 3-4 years after attaining independence, after becoming republic, we expect miracles to happen. Was it right? Should we not give time? We are always short-sighted. We think of our small span of life. After all, we are going to live for 60, 70 years. Things must happen immediately, fast. No. Things do not happen like that. Everything, the social evolution is always gradual and it takes its time. So you must have a long-term planning and progress solutions. Another important aspect why they are not satisfied with the system is an unwarranted, I insist upon this, an unwarranted lack of confidence in our judicial system. People are not very confident about our judicial system. I do agree, sir, our judiciary has not always been perfect. But in the ultimate analysis, it has passed the test. and has been the real sentinel on the key weave. You know, sir, what is the sentinel on the key weave? Nothing, watchdog. Alert watchman at the gates of the Constitution. Our Supreme Court has rendered itself absolutely above board when it comes to crisis. Otherwise, we would not have survived the emergency. We have survived the emergency. That was a test, litmus test for our democracy. Our democracy survived that dark period. We must remember that. Sir, for all the woes of the citizens, for all the ills in a democracy, when those in the authoritative posts attempt to trample over the rights of the people, we have invented, if I may say so, doctors, the eminent doctors here must pardon me in saying that we have invented a magic pill, which is a panacea to all these ills. What is that pill? That pill is PIL, public interest litigation. We have invented that magic pill. Sir, the orthodox depiction of goddess of justice, Nidhi Devata, you all know, blindfolded. Well, that is an orthodox concept. But when it comes to the realm of public interest litigation, she must untie her blindfold. She must keep her eyes wide open. She must be alert to the status and character of the players involved. In that realm of public interest litigation, she must be ever alert and all-seeing, brooding omnipresence, and overzealous watchdog. She must know what is happening. So the orthodox concept of blindfolded justice must give way to an alert watchdog concept of justice in public interest litigation, in the realm of public interest litigation. Now let us go to the backdrop of emergency. Our Supreme Court had a very eminent bench sitting of 13 judges sitting together, which has never happened before that and also not happened after that. 13 eminent judges were sitting together and they decided a case that was called Keshavananda Bharati case. It happened in 1973 before emergency. What was the problem in that case, sir? What was the issue? The issue is very simple. Can the Constitution be amended in any manner, or is there any limitation for amending the Constitution? The amendatory power given to Parliament or to the Amendment College to amend the Constitution, is it an unbridled amendment power or is it limited by any guidelines? This was the question. You know what they answered? Very good answer. They said amendment means you can add something to it, you can reduce something to it, but you cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution. The Constitution must remain basically what it was meant for. You cannot go beyond that. You cannot mutilate it. So this was the judgment. So they said, they identified basic structure of the Constitution must remain. Sir, you know very well, we have the right to change our dress, our makeup, our hairstyle, but we remain the same. Like that, we can even change our organs, doctors know, our eyes, kidney, even heart transplantation. Still the person remains the same. So there is some essential feature which should remain and continue in spite of all changes. What are those essential features of the Constitution that should remain unaltered, not touched by amendatory power? That was the sort of a very tricky problem that was faced by that eminent 13-judge bench. So the basic structure doctrine emanated from that judgment. And they say it cannot be mutilated, you can only make amendments. Well, it was more like a semantic discussion before that court. Nani Palkiwala and several other advocates, eminent advocates, argued for days together and then judgment was pronounced. But one thing was not, or was lost sight of by all of them, which I have pointed out in my book, Law, Justice, Law, Liberty and Justice. In that book, I have said there is one aspect in the Constitution which leads to its self-preservation and ensures that it is not destructible, indestructible. How, sir? What is that? Constitution prescribes that anyone who takes office, public office under the Constitution must take an oath. And that oath says, I owe allegiance to this Constitution. I will act in accordance with this Constitution. I will work for the preservation of this Constitution. That promise cannot be violated. Therefore, no authority in the executive, no authority in the legislature, no authority in the judiciary, all the three being the wings of the state, can in any manner violate this oath. If that is so, they cannot do away with this Constitution. They cannot say, we'll throw away this Constitution, write a new Constitution. No, that is not allowed. A person who is not holding a public office can say that we don't want this Constitution. We can bring in some other Constitution and we will try, and he can put it for vote, and if he wins, but he cannot take oath under the old Constitution. He cannot assume office. Therefore, there is a self-preserving feature in the Constitution by way of oath. Sir, what is the system of democracy we have? Even many parliamentarians, great thinkers. Once I heard even the very eminent senior advocate who was a minister then, Kapil Sibal, no less than a giant of a thinker like Kapil Sibal, saying our parliamentary democracy. I'm sorry, Mr. Sibal, our country is not, the system is not parliamentary democracy, but it is constitutional democracy. There is a difference between these two. In parliamentary democracy, Britain is a parliamentary democracy. There, parliament is supreme. But in India, parliament is should subserve constitution. Constitution is supreme, not parliament. Parliament can touch the constitution only in certain aspects. Constitution remains untouched by other aspects. Therefore, parliament is not supreme in India, only the constitution is supreme. This must go into the minds of not only the people, but also those who are in power. That is why in several judgments, the Supreme Court has adumbrated the doctrine of constitutionalism. Constitutionalism, they call it. Now, the Constitution Assembly, how the Constitution came into existence, how it was framed, the historical perspective. I'll share now one document with you. Let me see, I have not so far done that sharing. I'll try whether I can do it. I don't know whether you are seeing that.
Yes, sir.
It's visible?
It's visible, sir. Yes, sir.
But how it is not visible to me? How do I make it visible to me?
Maybe.
Can somebody tell me? Because I see your screen sharing, it shows. But what it shows, I'm not able to see.
The viewing options, sir, you go to the view options.
View options.
You can go side by side. Or something like that. Maybe you're going full screen.
Hide thumbnail video, show active speaker, show thumbnail video, then gallery.
Maybe try changing it, sir.
No idea. Okay, anyhow, I know what there is in the timeline. If you are able to see that, I think it speaks about timeline formation of the Constitution of India.
Correct, sir. Historical perspective. If you want me to read, I'll do that.
6th November 1946, the Constituent Assembly was formed. But it was boycotted by the Muslim League because they were demanding a separate state.
Correct.
6th November 1946. Then 9th November 1946, after 3 days, the first meeting was held in the Constitution Hall, which is now the Central Hall of Parliament House. And J.B. Kriplani, the great politician, as he then became, he was the first person to address, and Sachidananda Sinha became the temporary president. Again, Muslim League did not attend. They boycotted the meeting. In that meeting, a very significant speech was made by Jawaharlal Nehru. We can never forget a leader of that stature, sir, Jawaharlal Nehru. Now there are so many things going on because of political reasons, mudslinging. He is much above everything. He speaks like this: the first task of this assembly is to free India through a new constitution, to feed the starving people, and to clothe the naked masses, and to give every Indian the fullest opportunity to develop himself according to his capacity. This is certainly a great task. Look at India today. We are sitting here and there in despair in many places and unrest in many cities. The atmosphere is surcharged with these quarrels and feuds, which are called communal disturbances. And unfortunately, we sometimes cannot avoid them. But at present, the greatest and most important question in India is how to solve the problem of the poor and the starving. Wherever we turn, we are confronted with this problem. If we cannot solve this problem soon, all our paper constitutions will become useless and purposeless. Keeping this aspect in view, who could suggest to us to postpone and wait? He wanted immediately a constitution. He said we cannot wait. So I'll stop screen sharing. Now you know what all had happened. It proceeds further also after his talk. On 11th December 1946, Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India, he was elected as the chairperson. Sir, initially there were 389 members in the Constituent Assembly. But because of the Muslim League going out and the partition, the number got reduced to 292. And ultimately, it became 299 when the constitution was passed. Then an objective resolution was made. Then national flag was adopted on 22nd July 1947. Say just a fortnight before we got our independence, we adopted our national flag. Sir, stopping here for a moment, kindly pardon me, I must say, flag was adopted only a fortnight before we achieved independence in 1947. You know, I'm really, when I speak of certain things, I become emotional. Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati spoke of Thayin Manikodi Pari. In that he says, Tangal Nalluyir Yindum Kodiyinai Kapar. Here the people will sacrifice their lives to protect their flag. It happened 15 years after that. Tirupur Kumaran did it. What would come later, he could foresee. He was a Dirghadarshi. That's why we call Bharati a Dirghadarshi. Well, stop. Sorry for the digression. So we adopted the national flag on 22nd July 1947. Then 15th August, we became independent. 29th August, drafting committee appointed with Dr. Ambedkar as the chairman, and other 6 members of the committee were K.M. Munshi, Muhammad Sadullah, Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Gopal Swami Iyengar, and N. Madhav Rao. T.T. Krishnamachari. Then in 1948, July, another Mukherjee, H.C. Mukherjee was elected. Then Constitution of India was passed on 26th November 1949. That is a red letter day. That we are, every year we are celebrating as the Law Day. When we, the people of India, gave unto ourselves our Constitution. Then 24th January, the last meeting of the Constituent Assembly, Republic of India came into existence. Sir, the work done by Ambedkar, I'm telling you, it is something great, monumental. He did it all alone. Though there was a drafting committee, I would like to quote from the speech of T.T. Krishnamachari, how that worked. The House is perhaps aware, I'm now quoting the words of TTK, the House is perhaps aware that of the 7 members nominated by you for the drafting committee, 1 had resigned from the House, 1 died, not replaced, 1 was away in America, his place was not filled up, and another person was engaged in state affairs, one or two people were far away from Delhi and perhaps reasons of health did not permit them to attend. So it happened ultimately that the burden of drafting this wonderful document, Constitution, fell on Dr. Ambedkar solely, and I have no doubt that we are grateful to him for having achieved this task in a manner which is undoubtedly commendable. We all must applaud the great thinker Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar. We must be thankful to him forever. Because we are running short of time, I'm just going fast. I will only speak about one or two small controversies. One is about now in Tamil Nadu, a particular word, a particular term seems to be of, I would say, controversies, evoking controversies. Ondriyam. So far, we were calling our central government as central government, Madhya Arasu, Mayya Arasu. Suddenly, this Ondriyam has come. It is nothing alien to the Constitution. Sir, in the Constitution, it is Union of India. Ondriyam, the Tamil term, it means to act as a single unit in cohesion. Ondri Yangudal. So, all the states must act as a single unit in cohesion. I would like to quote Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on this. How he viewed the state-central relationship. What is the federal structure of India? Whether it is as federal as United States of America. Let us see what Ambedkar said in the Constitution Assembly when he introduced this draft which was passed. He made this speech on 4th November 1948, 15 days before the Constitution was adopted. In that speech, he says, I quote Dr. Ambedkar, the proposed Indian Constitution is a dual polity, but with a single citizenship. There is only one citizenship for the whole of India. It is Indian citizenship. There is no state citizenship. Every Indian has the same rights of citizenship, no matter in what state, which state he resides. Clear words of Dr. Ambedkar. The dual polity of the proposed Indian Constitution differs from the dual polity of the United States of America in another respect. The constitutions of the federal and the state governments are loosely connected. In describing the relationship between the federal and state government in USA, Bryce has said, he quotes Bryce, the central or national government and the state governments may be compared to a large building and a set of smaller buildings standing on the same ground, yet distinct from each other. He adds, this is not true of the proposed Indian Constitution. No state has a right to frame its own constitution in India. The Constitution of the Union and of the state is a single frame from which neither can get out and within which they must work. I think we all owe to Dr. Ambedkar this great insight. If this is now brought to the attention of so many of those who are in power, they will realize what they are doing. The next one is about the doctrine of equality. What is the great doctrine of equality that is adumbrated in our Article 14 of the Constitution, which says that the state shall not discriminate anyone, and will not deny to anyone equal protection of the law. And they will treat them as equal in the eye of law. What is that equality? So the very first amendment to the Constitution was brought in by a case which went to Supreme Court from Tamil Nadu. That is the famous case of Chanbagam versus State of Madras. At that time, it was State of Madras. State of Madras versus Chanbagam. Originally, Chanbagam versus State of Madras in the High Court. Then it went as State of Madras versus Chanbagam to the Supreme Court. The question there was reservation in educational institution for backward classes and scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. That was challenged, and the reservation was struck down by Madras High Court, saying it denies equality. But Supreme Court also accepted that. Thereafter, the first amendment to the Constitution was introduced, saying that Parliament has power to make laws granting reservation to those who are in backward community and scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. We must go back at least 2000 years to the grand old man Thiruvalluvar for this. A very significant statement he has made, which we have not understood. Saman Seidu Sirdukkum Kolpol Amaindorubal Kodamai Sandrorku Ani. He speaks of that Tulakol Taras scale, the weighing scale with the 2 plates, and it is held by the Nidhi Devata also. We all know that. That is called Tulakol. Saman Seidu Sirdukkum Kolpol Amaindu. Now, the most significant term in this is Saman Seidu. If you would have noticed that when you go to market to buy vegetables, you will see the vendor holding the scale up in his hand, and even when the 2 scales are empty, if one scale is down, he will put some small 5 grams or 10 gram weight in the other one. First he will make them equal. Then only he will start put vegetables, and then he will weigh, and then he will delete that whatever he had put it for making it equal. So first you must make things equal. Saman Seidu, then Sirdukum. So we have to make, people were not equal, sir. Many people had been pushed down for years together. They were kept in darkness. They were totally denied of knowledge, culture, anything. That was the state of affairs. So first make them equal. So for a number of years, there has to be a reservation, flows directly from this. Saman Seidu Sirdukkum Kolpol. From there we got the inspiration. So first let us make them, even in horse races, handicap. Some weight is added to some horses because everything must be equal. Only equals can run the race. So there cannot be a race among unequals. That is why Saman Seidu. This is, and a very significant statement I read, if I'm not wrong, from Karl Raimund Popper in his very celebrated work, Open Society and Its Enemies. He says, equality may not be a fact. Equality is not a fact. Some people are born blind. Some people are born without limbs. Some people are born without intelligence, challenged mentally. We all know that. So equality is not a fact, but equality is a demand. We must not forget that. That is the most significant thing. Equality need not be a fact, but it is a demand, a very justifiable demand that we must appreciate. So arbitrariness and equality are sworn enemies. If something is arbitrary, it is against the principle of equality. This principle was laid down from Bina Pani's case to Rayappa's case and ultimately culminated in Menaka Gandhi's case, where 7-judge bench says that arbitrariness and equality are sworn enemies. They also called it the brooding omnipresence. Constitution is the brooding omnipresence that visits every action of the state and its instrumentalities. So, sir, we have come to the, what is the essence of our constitution is people's awareness. If the democracy should survive all the trials and tribulations, then people must be aware of their rights. People must know that they are the real masters. Those whom they elect are only their servants, whether he is the prime minister, chief minister, ministers, or whoever it is. They are our servants. They have come to serve us. They have offered their service, and we have conducted an interview and selected them. That should be the spirit of it. In fact, whenever even yesterday there was some election here, I went and voted. I don't even know many of the candidates. There must be a sort of an interview where all the candidates must come to the particular locality. The people must sit down and put questions to them and find out who he is, what he is, why he is standing, what he will do. Such sort of interview must be encouraged everywhere. So there must be a selection. Election is only a selection process. We select our servants. So we employ them. And therefore, this must be the awareness, creating this awareness in the people's mind that alone can save and protect our democracy. People are the real masters, and all others who are in power, they have been entrusted with power. They are people's servants. If this awareness spreads, then it will ensure that our democracy will survive any crisis. So with this, I think I've given only a general introduction about democracy and the constitution without going deep into sort of a teaching lesson on constitution. If there are questions from you, I think I'll be able to come out more with more particulars if it is necessary. So if the host permits, there can be a short, brief question and answer session on this.
Absolutely, sir. That was a phenomenal lecture. As a medical doctor, I would not have understood much about the Constitution, but amazing. Even to an illiterate in the subject, even I could understand many things. So you made it so beautiful, lucid, and so simple. So thank you so much, sir. So now what I'll do is I'll ask all the viewers on YouTube also to put up their questions on the chat box. You can see the chat box. In the meantime, I think Rajiv Sinha sir has raised his hand. So over to you, sir. Please go ahead. And EDP people, please allow anyone to speak. Thank you. Over to Rajiv Sinha,
Yes,
sir.
Unmute yourself. Please give up.
Sir, absolutely. This was a very thought-provoking and resounding and deliberation made by you. I must congratulate you on behalf of the every listeners, and the concept and the values and many things you explained in such a simple and simple way that it was really a very enjoyable session which we lived with you. I just have one question, and I will request you kindly to give your views on that. My question is, what responsibilities democracy put on people at large generally, to follow or to make the society livable for everyone? If people are blocking highways, railways, to create a kind of pressure for the cause of their agitation and demands, and overlooking of these attitudes, is it not the denial of the protected rights of the other fellow citizens? Is it not the misuse of the democratic values and the liberties? And moreover, sir, silence from government, administration, and even courts for months together give what kind of feeling and assurance to the people who love their democracy in true way and true sense? So this is one of the things I was just thinking to put before you, sir, kindly.
Thank you. It's a very relevant question. And I'll agree with you. It is absolutely not permissible in a democracy for adopting any blackmailing attitude. So when we were ruled by alien forces, like a British rule, we had every right to strive and revolt against that, rebel against that, and even instigate revolution. But when we are ruling ourselves, when we are ruling ourselves by a constitution which we gave unto ourselves, we are not permitted to go outside the framework of the constitution and engage in rebellion and revolution. All that we can do is we have entrusted the task of lawmaking to a particular body. They make laws. If such laws are flawed in the sense, if such laws affect a sizable number of population, you have a remedy under the constitution to go to court, challenge that law. In many cases, law has been struck down by the Supreme Court, High Court. So if a law which is unconstitutional will be struck down, you must have confidence, faith in the judiciary. The only thing is, everybody wants everything to happen immediately. So that cannot be done. That cannot happen. That's why I'm saying you must have a far-sighted plan. You must not be short-sighted, I said. Because of power-hungry politicians, this is happening. And I will say the ruling party also is equally guilty in this matter. They simply kept quiet because they knew very well they may also come to the position of the opposition party someday. They may also have to do this. So all the political parties, they agree on certain things which is not conducive to the people at all. They are simply trying to take the people for a ride. And I don't know why the courts also just kept folded hands and watched all these things. You are right, sir. It's a real grievance. It should be put an end to. There is no, you can only, the freedom is only to express your resentment. Beyond that, you cannot blackmail the government, withdraw this law. You cannot enact this law. If people started saying that, then it becomes totally an unconstitutional, chaotic, undemocratic place.
Sir, you are kindly aware that in Shaheen Bagh case, the matter went to the Supreme Court, and there the Supreme Court has constituted a committee to look into that and come back to the Supreme Court. What I was feeling at that time, a kind of disappointment, because the court was not expected to form a committee. Court was expected to take a decision and pronounce the decision on the available facts.
They should have decided on principles. They
Yes.
simply washed their hands off by forming a committee. Forming a committee is another way of saying we are washing our hands off.
And forming a committee is not a job of the court. Court is to give the verdict only.
You are right.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Meghanden sir, Dr. Meghanden sir has also asked some questions. So can you please unmute and speak, sir?
Yes, sir. I thought, so this, I don't want to go into the sort of deeper aspects because he's a great man. He gave a fantastic lecture. But I am very much, I have listened to several lectures given on YouTube, of course, given by Sai Deepak. Sai Deepak on civilization, on civilization and on other secularism and other things. His book on India, that is Bharat, it is supposed to be a revolutionary book, sir. I thought that you can very easily read that. I know you would have definitely, any common man can read that. And he has given that our constitution is still following the colonial concepts. And we need some decolonization, civilization introduced, and constitutional amendment to be more of Indianized. Or he call it as Bharat concepts. What is your opinion on that? And that is my first question, sir.
I totally differ from him. Let's go question by question. I totally differ from him. I don't find any vestige of colonialism in our constitution because it emanated from very great minds who fought against colonialism and who got us freedom. They were the founding fathers of our freedom. They were the founding fathers of our constitution. That constitution has been a celebrated work. I don't find any parallel to our constitution in any part of the world. I'm very much satisfied with the constitution as such it is. There can be a few amendments this way or that way. That's a different thing, always.
Yes, sir, because I don't know the inner aspects of what he talks about, but he gives importance to the civilization aspect. Yeah,
belongs to a particular political ideology. He's my good friend, and he reflects that. That's all.
Oh, sorry, sir. I don't want to go into the politics of it. Second, sir, I'm as a medical man, I'm really confused about this NEET problem which is going on. This NEET problem. What do you think about the assembly versus governor? What shall we say? The difference of opinion. They make an amendment or they make some legislation or something like from the parliament, even from previous government. It goes to the governor, comes back, goes to the governor. He makes some changes, comes back, and this is going on. What exactly the government wants to do with this government?
Political game, sir. But as far as NEET is concerned, let me tell you what I feel personally is, once you say that I pass a particular level of education, say graduate or a school education +2, and you say I'm in, that enables me to pursue further education, I must be free to choose what I must read. See, this question of scarcity, demand, all these economic concepts should not come into education, sir. If I want to become a doctor, I must be allowed to freely pursue my education. I mean, after I pursue my education, you are going to examine me and find me whether I am suitable, whether I have equipped myself in that field or not. That is always open to you. But initial screening should never be there. Not only for this course, for any course, no initial screening must be there. One must be free. All this is because the government says it does not have enough money to educate everybody in the manner they want. If you don't have money, we will educate ourselves privately. Don't worry. Let it be a private affair. Examination can be a public affair. Fine. That should be a final examination, not screening examination. In that examination, choose the best. Filter those who have not equipped themselves. And give them another chance to again come and appear for the examination. Till they equip themselves firmly and correctly and appropriately, don't select them. That is the final stage. But initial screening, I think, is unconstitutional because Constitution guarantees the right to educate oneself in any manner one wants. Article 14 says that's a right, fundamental right. If I want to become a doctor, if I say, if you don't give a seat in your medical college, I will read myself, I will equip myself in whatever way I want, you examine me. I will, then once that is accepted, there will be so many private laboratories where I can go, I can do experiments, even if we need not depend on these colleges, everything will open, but it should be totally free. That is my answer.
All right, sir. I can understand that the standard of the education should not be compromised.
It will not, once you open it up, the standard must be ascertained only from the final examination. There you be strict. There you be strict.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Supreme Court has given the order that all the states should be the same and should have the same order. But what about the governor sending back the, is there any sort of, what is it they...
One time he send back, second time he cannot send back.
Oh, he cannot do that. Oh.
He can only delay. That is our constitution.
Achha, he has asked a few questions and to get it back. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir. Like you started from Bharati's views that Ellorum Samam, Ellorum Innattu Mannargal. Okay. So now we say that there have been some communities who are downtrodden because they were kept so. And the so-called forward community, backward and scheduled and, scheduled tribes and all those communities have been all divided. Now, I have a feeling that, like 60, 70 years down the line post-independence, I think these have to go because even in the scheduled tribal community, I know like, for example, a Badaga community in Ooty, they're all high intellectuals. They're all so well off. They're multimillionaires in all different continents of the world. And they're a brilliant community. So, but they're scheduled tribes. So, whereas a forward community, maybe a poor Brahmin priest may be there. He may be earning only 100 rupees a day. He has to take care of his entire family. His son may want to become a medical professional. He may be denied a chance, even though he's meritorious, because he hails from a forward community. I think, is it not time that we do away with all these reservations? Because 70, 80 years, almost 70 years are over. How long are we going to keep these reservations? I have a feeling that a doctor, because a student of +2, because he hails from a backward community or scheduled community, even if he gets 50% mark, he can get a seat in medicine. Whereas a forward community guy has to get 98% marks and then he can get into medicine. They both, like qualitatively, they cannot become equal when they come out also. So to do medicine, because you're dealing with human lives, here you require people of good educative capacity, a good capacity to grasp. So, and then they have to perform in the final exam, as you said. The exit exam is common for all. That should be made uniform. That uniformity is also not here. So, the exit exam is not the same for everyone. Only now slowly it is changing. But still it takes time. And, it's not, as you said, I don't know whether, you cannot be, hasty and you have to wait. How long to wait, I don't know. So one is, are we justified in, giving a lower cutoff marks for a different community and a higher cutoff marks for different community? So whether these people will qualify as equal doctors of merit and then also come out successfully. And how long should this all these reservations should continue? Is it not time to do away with reservations is what I was wondering.
I agree with you on the point that this sort of a concession should come to an end at some point of time. I agree. But whether this is the point of time, should it continue? That is for the social engineers to say. I'm not very competent on that. Whether all those backward people, they have come up to that level as you have just said, or still some more time must be given. It's a matter for social engineering, which they have to sort out. But let me say one thing, sir. The problem is, I'll tell you, nobody wants to do anything that will affect his vote bank. Once having come to the power, this is because everybody, once they come to the power, they immediately have their eye on the next election. This is the danger in our democracy. So I've been always saying that a person who comes to power, that's all. He must not opt for the second term. Neither he nor his immediate kindred should come to the power for the second term. If such a law is made in the Representation of People's Act, then everybody will say, 5 years I have been entrusted with power. Within these 5 years, whatever is good, I'll try to do and get away. So he must not have an eye on the second term. Otherwise, what happens is, we all know 30 years, 40 years, same person, same family, ruling several states. We have been seeing that. So as far as my knowledge goes, there are only two parties who don't have such things. One is the Communist Party. They don't have this dynastic politics. Then I think BJP. In BJP, I think who was Narendra Modi? Nobody knew him some 15, 20 years ago. Then he became chief minister, then prime minister. This can happen in these two parties. In all other parties, whether it is Congress or our DMK or ADMK or Mamta's party or other state parties, everywhere there is dynasty politics. If this should come to an end, there must be some legal restriction on people coming to power again and again. That is the only punishment.
Sir, you were also talking about the public interest litigations. Don't you think sometimes, like even though for expression of democratic values of citizens and a forum to fight for their justice, it's good. Sometimes, they're also for political reasons, they're misusing this PIL, no, sir?
Sir, whenever they have misused, the court has come down with heavy costs and dismissed that. That is always there. Anything given, sir, people tend to misuse that. But there is always a remedy for that. So we cannot expect any weapon. See, a weapon is made, it can be put to use or misuse, whatever it is.
Absolutely. I agree.
When Ernest Rutherford thought of that nucleus and then atom and all, he never knew that this will be used for making an atom bomb. So anything can go to misuse.
I still remember one of the children asking beloved Abdul Kalam sir, a question, which is really, if anybody would have been stuck with that question, how to answer. This girl said, sir, you said you love peace. Why did you invent the, atom bomb? Was the question. And you know what he said? That was really stunning. He said, I love peace. That is why I invented the atom bomb, he said. Because there has to be a balance of power. I need to protect this nation. Now, we have an atom bomb, others will keep their mouth shut and not, rage a war against us. That is what we want to do, because we will not go and engage. We're not going to drop an atom bomb on any country. But no country dares ever to drop an atom bomb on us.
That American woman who acted as a spy for Russia and ultimately caught, I forgot her name, she said this. She confessed, yes, I did it. And I did it only to see that the Russians get this know-how, so that there is balance of power in the world and nobody uses atom bomb for that personal thing. So she said it. I think that's what Abdul Kalam had in his mind when he said this.
Very nice. Good, sir. Thank you so much. Are there any more questions from anyone? Please put up, and otherwise we'll call it a day.
Yes.
Yeah, sir. Kurinjivendan sir has got.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you so much for your amazing speech, sir. It's a really eye-opening speech for me, actually. So my question is, too much of freedom in the democracy is, I think, too much of freedom in the democracy is destroying the pillars of our constitution. So, and affecting the growth of the development of the country also. So, is it the correct time to carve the constitution some aspects to make changes?
Echo, there's some echo in the voice. I'm not able to follow you properly.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Too much of freedom in the democracy is
Too much of
freedom.
okay.
It's affecting our the pillars and basement of our country's development, sir. So I think this is the correct time to carve the constitution in some aspects, sir. So am I correct, sir?
Sir, I disagree with you, sir. Sorry. Because there cannot be a degree of freedom at all. Either one is free or not free. There cannot be too much freedom, less freedom and all. You are free or not free. And your being free is not at the mercy of somebody else. It is not somebody giving you freedom. That's why even yesterday when I spoke, I said, Vande Madaram Yenbo, that has been translated, that Bharati's statement has been translated into English. Let us sing Vande Madaram. No. That means let us sing means you have to permit us to sing Vande Madaram. The spirit behind this, you will not let us sing Vande Madaram, but we will sing Vande Madaram. So that is the spirit with which Bharati spoke. So please be assured, nobody can give you freedom. You have to be free on your own. That's all. So freedom cannot be limited at all. But when it is abused and it interferes with others' freedom, law steps into that. Justice system will step into that. That's all. As Rajiv Sinha made a very scathing remark on that Shahin Bagh incident, somebody's freedom to express their resentment, it ultimately resulted in inconvenience to so many people. That should not have happened.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
I mean, in the lighter note, sir, Shiv Khera writes, freedom is not free in the proper sense. You have to win your freedom.
Now, our Honorable Prime Minister very well said, it is none of the business of the government to do business.
Wow.
Correct statement. We have not elected a government to do business. Right.
Whose statement was that, sir? Whose statement?
Narendra Modi ji said that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not the business of the government to do business.
Wow. Wow.
There are two things I just will like to mention here. One that regarding the evils of the vote bank and the solution you have suggested is a wonderful solution that the politics and the rule of the government should not go in a family way or in that way. And you have given the example of the Communist Party and the BJP. Yes, very rightly you said that the vote bank and the greed of the power is the greatest evil which the democracy is facing today. And secondly, sir, one more point I just want to place for you, that we always talk about fundamental rights. Constitution also have the fundamental duties, but there is the least emphasis or the anything about the fundamental duties. And one reason is that there is perhaps very little or no awareness about the fundamental duties, or the people don't want to know the duties. They only talk about the rights. If fundamental duties may also be given any importance by the courts or such forum, it will really balance the balance the rights and duties in a proper manner. Fundamental duties is very essential for the democratic functioning of the nation. Sir.
My answer is very simple, sir. Narendra Modi ji or Rahul Gandhi ji, Mamata Banerjee, Stalin, all these are just people like us.
Yes.
So, unless the people correct themselves, the people become aware and the people become honest, whatever system you build, it will not be of much use. So, you must educate people properly. You must bring good sense in people. And I think instead of trying to sermonize and trying to make because it is not as if nobody knows, sir. Everybody knows what is right, what is wrong. Still they do wrong means there is something wrong with their attitude. That's all. It's as if not because of ignorance they do it. The only way to bring people into good sense is good music, good poetry, good art, develop good sense in so that they don't try to be like a beast. They let them become human first. That is very important. That's my solution.
Very nice. Very nice.
And finally, I want to revisit my question. So again, the person who's the forward community guy getting in the open quota with 95%, he is denied a medical seat. Whereas somebody with a scheduled caste at 80%, he is given a seat. Is it an equality of right? Where is the fundamental right and where is the equality here? As an Indian, they both are Indian citizens. So this is my doubt, sir.
That's what I said. This is the entry point. In the entry point, when you deny the seat to him, you are denying him a career itself. That should not happen. State has taken over itself the task of educating them in a particular field. But their resources are limited. So what they do is, like a mother trying to patronize the child who is not fully developed more, they will take all those people and they will try to educate. But they must allow others to educate themselves and face the competition. That is not happening. That's what I'm saying. If that also happens, there is no problem with this. That is not happening. You are shutting the doors totally. That should not be there. Allow me. So if you don't give me seat in your medical college, allow me to pursue my course. If people are allowed like that, so many medical colleges will come. There will be a lot of competition. Let us open the doors. Let us see. We were traveling only by Ambassador and Fiat cars for a long time. Then what happened? Only thanks to P.V. Narasimha Rao, we have now got a flood of cars, which we were not knowing earlier. Open the doors, open the gates. Let us see what happens.
Wow. Very interesting.
That is called social justice, isn't it?
True, sir. Absolutely. Yes, Mike and answer.
Nothing like social justice or justice. We are only trying to put adjectives and trying to make a hair-splitting analysis and complicate terms. Justice is justice. That's all.
That's fine. That's good, sir.
Thank you.
Very nice, sir. Thank you so much for this deliberation. May I request my son-in-law, gastroenterologist, Dr. Vamsi Murthy of VGM Hospital, technical expert in the field of endoscopy, tunnels through under the mucosa of esophagus, stomach, rectum, and then does surgeries. He removes early cancers endoscopically without surgery. He is a real stalwart expert in the field of gastroenterology, advanced endoscopy. Over to Dr. Vamsi Murthy to propose his vote of thanks.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. VGM, for those kind words. It's a privilege to propose vote of thanks on behalf of VGM Foundation and in association with Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad. Professor Vanavil Ravi, sir, your words have made today a very, very unique Sunday for all of us. Thank you so much. A special thanks to Professor K. Rajaram, Professor VGM, Periyaswamy, sir, K. Rajagopalan, sir, Balaram, sir, Shankar, sir, Mike and sir, and Rajiv Sinha, sir. Thank you each and everyone for making all this happen today. Though each and everyone are very far away physically, we could connect digitally today. This was made possible with our IT team and Kamba team support. A special thanks to Ebenezer, Ashwin and Rajesh for your team support. So we will sign off today and catch you all next month for more interesting sessions. Thank you.
So please be with us on the 20th of Sunday, March at 10:30 a.m. for yet another program, a beautiful, beautiful program with crime novelist Rajesh Kumar, who's going to share a lot of social thoughts. Thank you so much, viewers. Thank you so much, our hero, Vanavil Ravi sir, and all the stalwarts for being here with us. Thank you, Rajaram sir. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, so we are ending the meeting.